Hi, hello, namaste. My name is Marisa, and today I want to talk about how to decide between 2 or more admits. First of all, congratulations on your acceptances. This is a big deal. You should be proud of yourself. You've done something tough, confusing, complicated, and you got accepted. So congratulations. You should take the time to appreciate that, to celebrate that. Once you've let that sink in, it's time to make your decision. On the one hand, this is a big deal. It's a big decision, and a lot of people get really stressed out about it. But on the other hand, remember that you've already shortlisted these universities. You've already decided that, hey, any of these universities that I get accepted to would potentially be a good option for me. So now all you have to do is logically make a decision. You lay out the facts, what one university has offered you versus another, and then you make your decision. I know, easier said than done, but that's what I'm hoping to help you with through this video, is how to think about your decision and make the best decision for you. So before we go any further, कृपया like or subscribe करो, share करो दोस्तों को भेजो. If you have any questions, मुझसे सवाल पूछो, comment करो. I would love to hear from you. So let's get into it now. The biggest misconception, which I want to just touch on before I get into the factors that I think you should consider, the biggest misconception is that ranking is the most important thing. Ranking, and I'll also say reputation. You can argue that they're very important, sure. I would argue they're not the most important thing, and they're definitely not how you should make your decision, but I'll get into that more in a minute. I just want to remind you, what's right for you is not going to be what's right for someone else. When you're making your decision, you need to do what's right for you. You need to consider your financial situation, your future goals, your plans, what you want to achieve in the world, and make your decision accordingly. I often see students asking other students what they think about X university or should they go to Y versus Z. And that's great. And it's good to get some opinions from other people. Absolutely. I'm not saying you shouldn't. What I am saying though, is that ultimately it has to be your decision, and you have to make a decision that feels right and feels good for you. Okay, that is the most important takeaway. If you take away nothing else, make this decision for you, not for anyone else. You're the one who has to live your life. You have to come to the US and study. So it doesn't really matter, kind of, what other people think or how they feel about it, but your decision should be what's right for you. So let's get into the factors. I would say there's 3 main factors at least to consider. The first one is cost. Cost is a huge deal. When I say cost, I mean tuition and cost of living, overall cost. So you'll already hopefully know these things because you shortlisted these universities. You should have a pretty good idea. But now you know what the university has offered you, if anything, in the way of scholarships or graduate assistantships, research, whatever it may be. You now have the actual numbers and you should compare them. You should really consider, is X university worth however much money, or is Y university worth however much money? I often see students who have 2 universities that maybe one will be twice as much money as the other, and it really begs the question, is it worth it? Cost is important to consider, and it's not a decision to be taken lightly. I think there's this idea that international students will come to the US, do their master's degree, get really high paying jobs, and be able to pay off their loans just instantly. It's not a big deal. And that's not necessarily the reality. So if you have the opportunity to go to a pretty good school that's comparable, but maybe half as much as one of your other options, it might be worth considering. So in addition to cost, I'd say the second factor to consider is location. Again, this is preference. This is totally based on preference. And realistically, you should have a pretty good idea because, again, you shortlisted these universities, you got accepted to them, you know what they are, you know where they are, but now maybe you have 2 options, say that one is in Florida or Texas and the other is in New York or Michigan or somewhere up north. You should have a much better idea now about the location, the specific city, the area, and maybe the weather, what it will actually be like to live there. For some people, it doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. And if that doesn't matter to you, don't worry about it. But if it does matter to you, think about it, because you're going to spend the next 1 to 2 years of your life in this place. So it would be ideal to be in a place that you want to be in and that you enjoy. And the third thing to consider when you're making your decision is university-specific information, program-specific information. What I mean by this is specific coursework or professors or campus-related opportunities in particular. Some campuses, big public universities, state schools, a lot of times they're called, will have a lot more campus opportunities for students, student groups, maybe opportunities for research, opportunities to contribute, different things like that. I know there's not like an easy way to just be able to tell this without knowing, for example, this is a thing that exists. If you're not really sure how to figure this type of thing out, that's okay. First of all, spend more time on the university website. So spend time looking at the program, the department details, but also spend time looking at things like campus life, student groups, and just kind of see what's out there. In addition to that, I highly recommend to reach out to either current or previous greatest students. Of course, not everyone will be very receptive and maybe not even respond to you, but some people will. The world we live in, people are highly connected and they understand, wanting to know more information. So if you want more information and you reach out, chances are people will respond to you and they will give you that firsthand experience that you're looking for. So I highly encourage this, especially if you're really, really confused. Now, just one thing to note. Most people love their university experience. So in general, if you have two universities and you're talking to people from both, it's probably not going to help you decide this one's great and this one's not. Chances are whoever you're speaking to is going to tell you great things about their university. That's just the reality, right? And that kind of brings me to another point. Your university experience is what you make of it. It's not that it doesn't matter where you go, but your experience is going to be fantastic wherever you go because it's what you make of it. I loved my university experience, both my undergrad and my graduate experience. I loved it because of the people I met, the connections I made, the coursework I did, the things that I picked out for myself and I found through my campus. I would have loved probably going to 10 different other universities just as easily. It's not about the specific university, right? It's more about how you use your time, what you make of your time. My whole point is no matter where you go, you're going to have great experiences because it is going to be what you make of it. Now, on the point about reputation and ranking, rankings and reputation really don't matter nearly as much as people think they do. That's a whole other video that I'll make at some point in the future. If we're talking about a Harvard or a Yale type of school, sure, the reputation is certainly going to help. The name is certainly going to help. But assuming we're not really talking about one of those, handful of 10, 20, whatever you may consider in that top group, state schools, university, public, in-state a lot of them are really comparable. A lot of them are really great. Yes, some will be better than others. Some will have departments known for, being excellent, one specific department, and those are the things you should be looking at. But in general, the reputation, the ranking, honestly, I have no idea the ranking, the actual number of any of the universities I went to, like either of them. I guarantee you most Americans don't, because that's not really how we think of it. So don't focus on that too much. Focus more on the specific opportunities that the program, the department, the campus, the university is going to provide you, because that matters far, far more than these other number details, statistics really, that aren't going to come up into play in your life as much. I think a lot of times students are really concerned about what university is going to get me a job, which is understandable. However, I think a more important way to think about it, perhaps the right way, in my opinion, to think about it is it doesn't actually matter. The university isn't going to get you a job. Going to X university or Y university isn't going to get you a job. You are going to get you a job. Getting a job is purely dependent on you. It depends on how much time you spend networking, how much time you spend looking for a job, applying for jobs, how well you interview. It's the whole process. So while it's helpful to go to a good university, absolutely, and I'm not saying you shouldn't, you absolutely should go to the best university you possibly can for you. I wouldn't get incredibly stressed about, or I wouldn't get hung up about, oh, I'm not going to X university, I can't get a job. That's really not how it works. Going to one university versus another is not going to be the reason why you get or don't get a job. Now, caveat, if you are trying to go on to get your PhD, if you're trying to do research, these things are a little bit different. Most of the people probably watching this video are considering jobs instead of, more research for their studies, but things can be a little bit different. Obviously, you want to go to a university that's going to help you the most in your research career if you do want to continue in academic studies. So that's slightly different. And that kind of goes back to my point. All of what you're considering is specific to you. So make sure when you're making these decisions, you're doing it based off of you, no one else. It doesn't matter where your best friend's going. It doesn't matter where your, senior from school went. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is that you are making the right decision for you. I hope you found this video helpful. Like I said, feel free to comment, ask me questions. I would love to hear from you, and good luck. I hope you enjoy the process, and I hope that you have tremendous success, and until next time.